cards there. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our bi-monthly, now we do it every 2-month call for the Strategy Implementation Institute. So thank you for joining. As we're small, we have a bit more time to network. So I propose we do a small introduction of each other and who knows, maybe you can connect afterwards. Anita, do you want to start, please?
Okay, and not my favorite, but of course, yes, I'm Anita. I'm Austrian, living in Vienna currently. I am a strategy implementation professional certified, so I've taken the exam. I've already been joining these sessions for more than half a year. It's always a great experience and great insights. And yes, looking forward to this call. And I want to push my career into strategy implementation transformation. And currently, situation is a bit difficult, but I hope I will find ground soon and would love to work on international projects.
Thank you, Anita. Bossa, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'll go next. Hi everyone. My name is Bossa Satlare. I'm a strategy analyst here at the Botswana Public Officers Pension Fund. And yeah, Anita, I am looking forward to the exam. I hope it won't be I hope it won't be that difficult, but I believe we've gone through the modules and everything. I think I'm prepared. Thank you.
Yeah. Then I go to Basma. Hi, Mohammed. We're doing a small introduction of everyone. So
Hello.
then we go for Basma in Egypt.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Basma. I'm working with Antonio regarding the SII and SIP project. I'm interested in this project because I see the potential and how it gonna make the companies achieve their goals more easily if we implement the strategic mindset and the strategic implementation more wisely. So I'm working closely with Antonio and Robin to share this to the globe, to have the same mindset of how to implement the strategy and have their career and develop their potentials inside the companies. This is briefly me. I'm from Egypt. Yeah.
Thank you, Basma. So,
Antonio, Antonio, my team is gonna join with us. Juliana is one of them to know more about the community and everything.
Very good. Nice to meet you. And hopefully we're looking forward for this partnership. Thank you, Basma. I go to Mohammed. Where are you calling from and a bit about you?
Thank you, Antonio. I'm calling from United States, Cleveland.
Okay.
Well, that this meeting this time actually a little bit works for me, 6 a.m. And I work as a NPMO for RCU, the Royal Commission Lawyer. I work as a program manager with them.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you, Mohammed. And James, where are you calling from? Where do you work? Experience?
Good morning, everybody. My name is James Oarabile Setloma. I'm working for a company in Botswana called Hoisting Solutions. I am based in Orapa. Strategy implementation trainee, but I just took my examination and I passed my examination, got my certificate. I'm just trying to learn. I am actually, the reason for me to be following and joining here is just to learn and improve my skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, good to see you. We're doing a whole round of introductions, so please go ahead. Where you calling from and what you work on?
Okay, so I'm Greg Zachary. I don't know if some of you have met before. I live in Cape Town. I run a company that deals with strategy execution. and dealing specifically with aspects relating to business architecture. We look at safe LPMs and mechanisms for implementing large corporates, etc.
Your connection is not great sound, Greg. I don't know if there's some internet, or turn your camera off if maybe it comes stronger.
Yeah, headphones. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's much better, I think. Yeah, so I live in Cape Town. I have a business relating to strategy execution. I do work for large corporates relating to bridging the gap between strategy and execution. So typically the area I like to focus on is strategy into portfolio management.
Okay, thank you.
Was originally. Thank you.
That's good enough. We'll have time to do some breakouts. So just the first. Claudette, good to see you. Where are you calling from? And small intro for the group.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm calling from Bermuda. My background is in nonprofit leadership. I ran an organization for 22 years, a nonprofit advocacy group. But now I do a little bit of everything. I have a private consulting business. I work with other nonprofits to help to their leaders in strategy implementation. And I also work with small to medium-sized businesses with another company that I work for in Bermuda, entrepreneurs in Bermuda.
Very nice. What a very international group today, yeah? Wow. And there's a few other people who join later. If you want to just show your video, if you feel comfortable, and just introduce yourself, or we just move on.
Well, they are all my team.
Okay, your team is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Most of them, yeah.
Say hi to your team then.
Okay. Hi, team. Hi, everyone.
Okay, let me just.
Okay. I think they're shy to open their mic, I think.
Oh, no worries. Let me just share, put just a few slides together, and like most of the cases in these updates is mostly a discussion I want to have. So small update on where are we. We got some recent numbers. So there's almost 600 SI members. It's going up. We've not been promoting it that much. That's why we've partnered with Basma and Solomon to help us reach higher targets, but you can see that the interest is still there. Half year through, we have similar numbers on, this is until I think was June or something. So around 100 members every year is not too bad, right? It's about what, 8 per month without too much promotion. The SIP pass, this is important, to reaching 250 very soon. Probably the numbers were a bit later, so maybe we're more closer to 260 to 70. And the pass, this is important. We want people to pass the exam. And we know, Bossa, you're preparing. If you go, what we look for in the exam is, we have the core elements of strategy implementation roadmap, which are covered in the book. And then you have a lot of other articles and resources. We don't ask things about the other resources, right? We like to put the Harvard Business Review, McKinsey. That's more additional information that we find interesting, relevant, maybe sustainability, AI, digital now, but that's not covered in the exam. The exam is really about the strategy implementation roadmap and the different elements throughout the 4 phases. So just that you can focus on that. Take the prep exam in APMG website. They have this practice exam. Take it and you will, I think you will be prepared for it. Countries, Botswana is number 1 of the number of people. United States, very close, UK, Saudi Arabia, and then a lot of other countries. So very interesting. We have a very good partnership, a partner in Botswana who strongly believes on the value of this. Interesting, their focus on strategy implementation, not so much project management. Project management is part of their services, but their core is training on strategy. So it was a perfect fit, what we can combine and provide. So, but you see, it's very international, and our goal is to keep growing it without losing the quality, of course. We want people like you to interact together, connect. But of course, it would be great once the recognition of the SIP becomes standard. Usually we look at new papers, and this one was interesting. So it will be added to the, I will put it in the chat so you can read it if you feel like. But we are always checking and removing a few older topics and adding new ones. So this is one we just found recently. Then the other thing that Robin and I have been thinking about, if you're familiar with PMI or other associations, they have special interest groups which are run by members who are passionate about these topics. And it's not me and Robin who will be involved heavily on that. It's more allowing people, you see the benefits here. So if you are interested on okay, as a team, we want to use the Institute to learn, research, find topics, look at the future, whatever you feel like, please let us know. Just write me an email or Robin or to the Institute and say, I'm interested. We did that with the public sector, and that was very interesting. We wrote a paper. It was linked also to an exercise, something that we offer as well as fellow, which is a bit more intense work to get the fellowship. But I think there's opportunity to look at culture or leadership. And if anybody has the interest and the time, because it takes a bit of time, maybe a few hours per month or to lead that, and we might find a group of 3-4 people, that would be really good, because Robin and I are quite busy, but we don't want to stop the development of new areas of interest. So here, just send me an email to me and Robin said, listen, I'm interested in this, either leadership or culture, and I'm interested of being part, or I'm interested of leading, and we can test that out in the next month. And of course, we'll support and be there, but it gives a bit more opportunities for other people. The SIP exclusive, so this is for all the members that are active. We have every 3 months or so, we have a guest speaker. It's a much longer session. It's about 90 minutes. The monthly one is 45 to 60, where we bring somebody and we have a very in-depth discussion. So the next one has not been planned. But if you're an active member of the community, if you have your membership, then you will receive the information. And what I wanted to take, I think this is the nicest part for me always in this monthly, is to learn from each other. And there is, of course, probably all of you have heard that, we all heard that culture eats strategy for breakfast. You know, Peter Drucker said that. So culture is much more influential in the execution of strategies than the strategy itself. But today, as you know, we're living in this constant disruption. And the question I had is, and we hear so much about constant transformation, which is maybe part of strategy, part of culture. So I put there a couple of questions. Which elements in this element is the true driver of successful implementation today? Is it the strategy that we're setting? Is the culture? So strategies about the decisions, the tough decisions, direction, vision, all that. The culture, or the transformation capabilities. And I'm trying to see if there's one more predominant than the others. Can transformation succeed without a strong culture? Probably not. Can strategy thrive without transformation skills? How do you balance shaping culture, crafting strategy, and leading transformation in practice? So these are the questions I have for the group, and I'm going to make 2 breakout rooms. And take a picture if you want. Easier to keep this, but I think you get the sense is how 1 year or 2 ago, we said now it's strategy that eats culture for breakfast. But now with transformation going so crazy and disruptive, is there another element or is part of it? So trying to get some clarity on this topic, I think will be very interesting to hear. So let me put you in breakouts. I will have 2 because sometimes people don't, and I know the team of Basma is there, but let me just put 2 breakouts to avoid, or let me put 3, 4 to 5 participants. That's good. And I'll give you 20 minutes. Choose one participant to just give debrief, and then we come back and debrief and we close the meeting there. Okay. Here we go. Let me just check in. Okay, I think we'll have at least a couple. You can turn your camera on. It might be nicer. Welcome back. And look forward to hear what you discussed in your groups. Let me go with, I'll start with group number 3. I know Anita, Basma, Bosa, you were having a great discussion. So who wants to share a bit your views?
Yeah, I was chosen to be the speaker, and the
very
point
nice.
is coming to the first question is it's not an either or, it's in both and you can't exclude culture or transformation from strategy because as the book says, even if you have a bad strategy but a very good implementation capability, you will be more successful than having a good strategy and a bad implementation capability because you only know at the end if the strategy was good. So the transformation capability is key along to the culture because culture is key, as we also know from the framework and from the book. And without aligning the culture, you will fail because it's a changing of new way of working, it's changing of processes, it's changing of coordination, it's a decentralization, it's giving the power to the teams and also engaging the people. Coming to the next one is that was covered by the first one. We need a strong culture because only then you can sustain, and you always need to watch out for the culture because there are bounces back. People are getting back to old habits, so it's a constant struggle to keep the culture going and move into the right direction. And the skills are essential because if you don't have the skills, you will fail. And all the reports like McKinsey, PricewaterhouseCoopers, or Accenture are saying it that you need to have the skills to get into the doing mode and do it the right way. The last one, how you balance shaping culture, craft, and strategy and leading transformation practice. It's like first we agreed on you need to craft a strategy first, creating a strong North Star, a vision, and a purpose because this is your basis and the ground. Then you need to also figure out how is your culture fit? Do you have like a rigid organizational structure? Then you have more work than when you have like a matrix organization with already centralized teams. So this you need to be very well aware of your current state and then the future gap. And the leading transformation in practice is bridging the gap between crafting and implementation. So it depends on your prerequisites, how huge the gap is, and then you will know how much you will need to invest in your daily work. And here we also say that the middle managers should align their teams, because the teams are key in order to make the transformation successful, and they should support the teams in the capability so that they know how to translate the single steps and align it with the overall strategy.
Okay. Wow. Very deep discussion. Very interesting. Thank you, Bosa, Basma, and Anita. Let me go to group number 2.
Well, I have to say that Anita's amazing personality. She have all the answers.
I really studied the book.
She actually
You studied the book, I can see.
yeah.
Half a year ago and still in there. So it's
Thank you. And Bosa, it's good preparation for your exam.
Yes,
Very
definitely.
soon. Let me go to Mohammed. You were with Greg and someone else that I don't have here.
Juliana.
Juliana, exactly.
We have agreed to disagree. So Juliana is going to do the
That's
presentation.
possible.
But if I may say, Anita, I'm a big fan. Like this is the first time that I attend a live video for the SIP, but I've always watched the videos on YouTube, and I always enjoyed her opinion. So thank you for sharing your opinion. It's very in depth. But I don't know if Juliana is with us. Juliana, you're here?
Yes, I'm with you. But actually, I don't know which point of view I have to share. Each one of
So
us has it.
if I may just say one thing, then you can you can proceed with the rest. So Antonio, I think all of us answered from our own experience, actual experience at work, or the exposure that we have at work. Mainly my point of view, because I worked as a consultant for PwC and facing challenges with each new client or customer. Would definitely put a new perspective for you. So my point of view was from transformation, and that would lead to the obviously that doesn't mean that you exclude. However, you have to obviously you have to take everything in consideration, because when you do a transformation, you have to make sure that you have to put a strategy. You have to, as Anita mentioned, and you have to make sure that you have capabilities to do it first, the culture and the organization, to do an evaluation before you do any transformation, before you implement any strategy. You have to evaluate what you have, you have to evaluate the ground, and based on what you see, what you have, and the strategy that you draw, or where you want to reach, then you have to drive, or you have to put down the implementation strategy. Go ahead, Julianne, finish the conversation, please.
Okay, regarding to the second and third question, we all agree that we cannot implement any transformation without strong-based culture. For sure, it depends. Yes, it depends on the industry, what we will do, how we should be prepared for this transformation mentally, physically, and obeying all the rules. We have to be sticking to the rules to make sure we will achieve our goal. And also, all of us answered for no for the second part of this question. Strategy is just a theory without a real transformation. If we put a strategy and then implement it, it seems like we just have a dream, not a goal. So transformation is a second and main step to the strategy. And if Greg or Muhammad would like to share anything else, because as I said, we have different point of views. I finished mine.
Thank you very much. So, Greg.
Yes. Sorry, the only difference that I had was, I agreed in integrated leadership that 3 legs of the stool all are required. But I felt that in practice, it's quite academic, because in the real world, the deemed success is often put down to efficiency of the project implementation, and the long cycles of measuring strategy against implementation means that success is what is success is often seen from a financial short-termism, etc. So I'm just saying there's inherent dysfunctions and we might have an academic view of what is right, but in practical terms, it is a problem. Yeah. Anyway, that's my perspective.
Yeah, the reality is always more challenging than what we think. Great, thank you. Last Claudette, and you were with?
I was with James. I was giving James an opportunity to
yeah, I know,
to speak, but he's turned his camera off. I think is
okay.
indicating. James, you still there? I'll start us off. I think that we agreed that both culture and strategy are important, but a good strategy recognizes most times that the culture has to change, as opposed to the other way around. And so that should be a part as we're looking at strategy implementation. Looking at what needs to change in the culture is an important part of the strategy, because most times that's required. I think, I don't know if it was Greg who just James spoke of the difficulty of requiring outputs while implementing. So you may have, in his case, he has a larger grantor, international grantor. They have expectations. And then there are other expectations of the actual firm itself. And they have to be managed. So you have an expectation of outputs today and longer term strategy. And both are required in this implementation process. And how do you balance the two? And I shared with him that working in the nonprofit world, I feel like we have more of a luxury of focusing on long-term outcomes because people invest their money in doing things for the long term. Whereas now that I'm working with small businesses, you don't have this time to dream. You either make money or you die, right? And so you have to focus on how do you get that revenue in? And so it becomes different in terms of implementation as to, what you're reporting on and what you're focusing on. And you have to make room for that. So we discussed how do you do that? And I told him, for me, because I'm a long-term thinker, I've had to bring in shorter-term thinkers like finance people to oversee certain parts of it so that we can be doing and measuring as we're doing and, keeping the business owner or if it's a larger donor satisfied, while at the same time trying to shift the company in such a way that in the long term, we actually succeed. And that is something I've learned from working in the two areas. And for me, in for-profit, outputs are important. So I think Ray make the point, if it's about dollars, and, that's where people will see that the change has been made, then you do have to address it. You can't ignore it and say, well, we got to wait longer, while we do this planning. So we talked about how to balance the two, and that was what I'm finding. So that's a general overview. I hope I covered most of it without actually speaking to the questions. Yeah.
Very interesting. My view is that, like Greg was saying, the reality often is different than what some of these concepts we use to try to give explanations or structure. The priorities of this very senior leader are often different than what we have in mind. I think it's, of course, revenues, profit, EBITDA. In the public sector, you have your own KPIs, and the challenge is how we connect what we do to make sense to them so that they see the value of what we do to help them with their goals. And so that's where I think the critical success factor in the end is that they need to see value in what we do, regardless of how we see it ourselves. But interesting, the world is changing so fast that, for me, this transformation capability, because one strategy that might look right today, in 6 months, probably we need to change it or might be wrong. So we had a call in the projects and call about this agility on the gates and the strategy. So I think that's something that we'll see more often. And many strategies could be just experiments. Nothing should be like a full-blown. I think Google is a good example. They've launched so many projects. They don't mind stopping some of their projects. But Google Maps, Gmail, all these things that we see were projects that became strategic, and then some of them they cancel, like the cars and the Google Glass. And so I like to see this type of agility also, but the end is also transformation capabilities, not that people get used to change.
True.
And what comes first, culture or transformation capabilities? It's kind of hands in hands, right? People need to understand why the culture needs to embrace transformation as core. Maybe in the past it was not core, it was nice to have, and now it becomes core. So how does a transformation culture looks like versus more operation stable culture looks like? That's something that I'm very interested. So maybe that's another topic for later. What are the key factors or key values or key elements of a culture of transformation? Of course, you'll see psychological safety and flat organizations and people empowered and things that we talk as well here. So, but that could be an interesting topic for a research or even a paper. Interesting. I like that. I always learn discussions. Go ahead, Anita.
No, sorry, I wanted to also add the attitude towards failure. So fail early, fail fast, fail forward. And also the acceptance that you will fail. There's no right or wrong and no punishment, but you only learn. It's a continuous learning and continuous improvement.
Yeah.
As a value, as a cultural value.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Celebrate failure. Do it quickly. I don't know if we do that so much in projects. They tend to drag forever, right? So something.
I mean, Antonio also. I agree with Anita, of course, and I agree with you. But technically, it also depends on the type of the organization. If it is an IT organization, what Anita mentioned fits perfectly. However, if you're working within a government institution, they do have a culture for rewarding the mistakes, but it's in a negative way, not never in a positive way. It depends. And also what Claudette mentioned, an NGO is completely different.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes to each case, is going to be definitely separate, or definitely you would have to you have to study each case separately in order to know which factor, what would drive the change better.
Yeah.
But I think if my opinion, if we want to be very practical, we have to know what we have first on the ground before we start to build and see where we want to go later on, and put the strategy based on what we have from resources, from being able to do a certain thing or not, being agile or not, this stuff is very important. But also it's part as a project manager myself, like there's always a stream, or there's always something that we had as a risk, which is change management. We add it just to make sure that we adjust the culture. We make sure that the employees or the organization eventually will not revert back to the old ways, and make sure that they accept the change, whether from having like an ambassador or a promoter for the change, etc. Because each change, each project has its own things to factor in. So that's why, like, I've always when I saw the transformation, I said, like, okay, I guess that definitely makes sense to make sure that what would drive it, because I can draw a very good strategy. I can have a good culture for change, but I wouldn't have the ability to do the change itself, or I wouldn't be able to implement it successfully because I'm not able to. I'm too small to do it, or as Claudette mentioned, I'm a small company. I do not have the resources. I do not have the time, because again, some projects you will have the luxury of having short term, mid term, and long term goals that you can achieve or milestones that you can achieve, but certain things like certain programs that I worked on, you would only see the outcomes way after closing the program itself. So I wouldn't be able to see it as a program manager myself. However, the PMO will oversee it, of course. But that's some of the cases that I worked on.
Yeah.
If I may, I just wanted to add something. I think one of the crucial factor to all is internal politics, because internal politics can jeopardize the strategy. They can jeopardize the capability in order to put everything into the practice, and they can jeopardize culture.
Yeah. It's the chicken and the egg, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to take you too long of your time. Thank you. I really enjoyed the discussions. I hope you in your day this brings some different views and thinking, but super interesting always to have these sessions and everybody participates. So till the next time, so it will be in 2 months. Robin will schedule that in beginning of October. Then we'll catch up and stay well. Good to see you. Bye.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.